Good afternoon, everyone. Uh, we have with us Union Education Secretary for Higher Education, a person who is in the middle of several controversies also because Education Ministry these days keep making news. We'll go in that direction. But before that, the first basic question, it's almost 6 years. We have the new education policy. What is the progress, real tangible progress on ground? We have numbers, statistical data, but real changes that we can talk about.
Yeah, there have been a number of changes. In fact, on all the dimensions. First of all, you said numbers have definitely increased, and they have increased dramatically. We have now in the higher education system somewhere around 60,000 plus higher education institutions, and they cater to roughly about 4.5 crore students. And India has today one of the highest female participation in higher education system. And then you talk of research. We are number 3 as far as the publications in research are concerned. In terms of quality, the number of higher education institutions which appear in the world ranking has grown. It has grown about 5-fold. It used to be somewhere around 11, and now it is 54. So it's a huge jump there. Then the number of foreign higher education institutions, earlier there were none, now we have about, and this is one of the recommendations of the national education policy only. We have about 14 LOIs issued by the Universities Grants Commission. Then one biggest thing is the change in the mindset that the universities and the stakeholders have realized that education is not only to get a job, but it is to create the job also. So there is a huge movement, I would say, across the country to improve the curricula in the higher education system so as to make it more market ready. So you have today a number of industry academia collaborations happening. You have a number of startups growing very fast. And today the startups are not limited to only engineering or management institutions. They are there even in the non-engineering and non-management institutions. So there is a big change in the mindset that has happened. So I would say this national education policy, you have a lot of numbers to support that has done a lot. And there is also a definite mindset change in the minds of all the stakeholders that we need now the job creators and not only the people who are good at work.
You mentioned about industry and academia collaboration. In fact, this budget, we are talking about taking universities to industrial corridors. Professor Dinesh Singh was here in the morning, and several other experts also have said that why do we need to create some more universities near industrial corridors? Why the existing universities cannot create a knowledge economy, and we do not have that Nobel-ready innovations here in India yet. We have grown in numbers, we have more universities in top ranking, but we still do not do well in terms of the way China is progressing or US is already up there. We talk about AI in every sphere, but are we creating some good LLMs like China is doing? When will that happen in Indian university system? Instead of making numerical progress, when will we see that tangible change?
You know, the tangible changes are also happening. You have today a number of research parks across the country, and if you go and see the research park of, let's say, IIT Madras, you would find a number of innovations there which are as good as, or rather better than the ones which are being made outside. Somewhere I think we need to know as to what is happening within the country also. And as I said, India is a big and a huge and a very diverse country, so we'll need different types of models. It is not going to be there that one model is going to fit everything. So you can't have one recipe for all the issues that you are handling today. And in the Indian higher education ecosystem, it often gets compared with the Chinese system. But there's a big difference that Indian higher education system is highly decentralized. every university, there are some 1,200 plus universities across the country, and they are autonomous in terms of taking all the decisions, whether they are administrative decisions or academic decisions. So it's a highly decentralized system. Also, the education and more so higher education is in the concurrent list of the constitution, where both the state government as well as the central government are responsible for improving it. So therefore, everybody has to work together. You cannot compare the two things, but I would like to say that a lot of things have happened in India also. You talked of LLM. We have our Sarvam AI and Bharat Gen. These two are already working. We have now a number of agentic AIs which have been developed by the Indians. So it is that what we are seeing. So it would be incorrect to say that nothing is happening in India. But yes, we have done a lot and we need to do more.
You mentioned China and the difference is that we are decentralized in our education system, but the critics are saying that the focus of the central government is making the whole education system more uniform, more standardized across the country, and some critics are saying that this recent higher education regulatory, one central regulatory board which will replace UGC, AICTE, are we moving in that right direction? Will that be another organization who will have just more control over university education? Because the funding earlier used to be with UGC, and now the education ministry will directly look after the funding process, which means bureaucrats and politicians will probably have more control on the funding system. That creates the problem of political affiliation. Do you think we are moving in that direction?
You know, if you read this Viksit Bharat Siksha Adhistan bill, which has been introduced in the parliament and which has been referred to this joint committee of parliament, it gives more power to the institutions. How? It says that everything which is going to be decided now, it will be on the basis of public disclosure. There are not going to be any inspections. And on the basis of the fixed benchmarks which gets defined, basically the quality benchmarks, if anybody will be eligible for anything else. So as against the current system, that where you have inspections, you have control, central control is there, this system is highly decentralized. So I don't know where this criticism of more centralization coming from. It is, and it says that everything is, every institution will have to be transparent, in the sense it will have to disclose everything. But once you have disclosed and once you are meeting the benchmark, then your progress, your movement on the ladder of development is automatic. So it is not a decentralization. What this new bill is doing, it is in the existing system that you had UGC, you had AICTE, NCTE, which were dealing with different disciplines of education. And there were problems which the higher education institution was suffering, because if, let's say, there was a multidisciplinary institution who wanted to open all these three types of streams, general as well as engineering as well as teaching, it was supposed to go to these three institutions. And many a times the requirement of these three institutions used to be different. And of course their own time taking and the issue of coordination between them used to be there. But now in the new this bill which has been proposed, there are going to be the three verticals which will be on the basis of the work that they are doing. One vertical to define the standards. So once you are defining the standard for an institution, there will be a natural coordination between the standards for, let's say, teacher education as well as for the engineering education. So it is not going to be in any way centralization. It is going to be more and more decentralization and ease of doing business by the higher education institutions.
The second part of the question was that financial autonomy. Why, if UGC had that, then why this new institute which will come up, new body, why it doesn't have that financial autonomy?
You know, NEP had recommended that this finances should be kept out of this, in the sense that the finance should not be mixed with the regulations. So how it is to be done, that the government has decided that since it has to be not the three of them, so therefore as a fourth one, it is with the government. As the time moves, we'll see how to actually implement it. But there is nothing let's say, I think somewhere the apprehension has come that UGC used to give a lot of money, and where will that money go? Which was coming basically from the most of the schemes which have now been, they are now part of your PM Usha. So PM Usha, government only implements. It is the central government which implements it with the help of the state government. There is a sharing of funding between the central government and the state government. And the same thing is going to continue. So this allegation also that government is wanting to keep the finances with it is not there. The amount of support which was available is going to remain the same. As let's say it is available with the UGC, is going to be available with the new Adhistan also.
Okay, I take that in good spirit. Hopefully, it will move forward the way you have set out. Then this budget also has talked about education to employment committee, that empowered committee. So, what will be the mandate of this committee? What will be the structure of this committee? Is there a timeline when the committee will be formed? What will happen?
I think it's, as of now, it's not for me to comment on this, but if you look at the terms of reference, the draft terms of references which have been given, which are there part of the budget, it says that how to bring in AI in education, that is, and including the school education, it is one of the basic parts of it. So we feel that from education to employment, that is definitely going to be one of the terms of reference of this committee.
So, as you were talking about AI in education, we heard a lot about AI in education in other sessions also. But most of the time, when students come to colleges, there is always a deficiency in the learning outcome. So one of the suggestions that came up is that in different grades, probably those gaps could be bridged with additional measures. Is there any way the government is thinking about fixing that gap when a student approaches college education, so that that outcome becomes better?
This, I have this experience of higher education institutions and the practices they have in IITs. What they do is that a child who gets into the first semester, he is assessed for his level, and if he is or she is not of the level which would help him, which would put him at a disadvantage vis-a-vis the other students, there is a separate mentor assigned to him, to a group of students, and then they help him to come up to that level. And he is given his own pace to come up to that level. So it's not that immediately within a month you do, there is enough time available. So similar types of things can be thought when we do of this. But what we also see that if you see the board examination results, the achievement levels of the students are also increasing. So just to assume that the child who is going to come is going to be deficient in the requirements for the higher education, I think it's again thinking too much negatively about the system that is working, because the data says otherwise. It says that whatever the board exam achievement results used to be there 10 years before, today the same, the same age group is doing better. So naturally, we are having students who are getting into the higher education system who are better prepared to do well in the higher education.
Dr. Joshi, the question came because we do not have absolute numbers across the country, but we are seeing a surge in suicide cases, not just in regular educational institutes, but in higher educational institutes such as IIT, IIMs. Why is it happening, and is the government making any tangible plan to fix that? Because one of the causes behind suicide, apart from mental stress, is this learning gap.
As far as suicide is concerned, it is a complex phenomena. It is multi-dimensional. And there has been no single reason you can attribute this suicide.
As I said, one of the reasons.
It could be one of the reasons. So, and what it requires more is close interaction between the teacher and the taught, so that you are aware of what the child is doing. And all the institutions, especially higher education institutions, especially the IITs, now they have a number of systems by which they are increasing this interaction. There is a system of student guide, one guide, a 1 year senior fellow who will be responsible for a group of 6-7 people. There is a system of faculty guide. One faculty given in charge of, they may not be teaching the student, but a group of some 15-16 students, they are in charge of this. Then a lot of people who are working with the society, they are the specialists, they are brought in. There are annual health checkups. And many of the institutions, the higher education institutions, have now stopped making attendance compulsory, the minimum attendance compulsory in order to be able to appear at the examinations, because many times this also could lead to a lot of stress. What higher education institutions are also doing is that instead of asking the individual assignments, because sometimes if you are doing an assignment or a quiz or a examination single-handedly, you might be under bigger pressure. So they are bringing in open book examination. They are bringing in the system in which a group of students can do a project or can do a problem solving together, because ultimately it is the learning which is mattering more, which matters more, rather than whether a student was able to do at that point of time or not. So they are therefore doing a number of things. UGC has also been taking a number of steps as far as student suicides are concerned. And then similarly, because the child is coming from the school education system, school education itself has also been doing a lot of things to improve the mental health of the students. So thereby everybody is trying his best, and of course any life lost is very big loss as far as this country is concerned. We should try that not even a single child should be taking his or her life. So all of us will have to work together. It is not only the higher education institutions or the central government or the state government, it is everybody, including the parents, that has to come and work together on this.
One of the pain points of higher education is the entrance exam. And we saw the mess that happened within the NTA, and particularly the NEET exam. And we formed, the government formed that 7-member committee, also Radhakrishnan committee. It submitted the report. What happened to that? When will we see an error-proof NEET and other entrance exams, the way IIT entrance exams happen?
Yeah, if you see that there have been a number of changes. In fact, the Radhakrishnan committee, which was constituted by the government, they had suggested a number of things to improve this. And one of the biggest suggestions was that you have to verify the identity of the student at 3 times. A, when he is appearing in the exam, when he is filling up the form for the entrance examination. B, that the second time will be when he is appearing in the examination. And third, when he is going to the college, when he is taking admission in the college. So these are the 3 basic times when his identity was to be verified, and verified through digital means using Aadhaar ID. So that has started happening. This was one major thing. Second major recommendation was that everybody should be involved. It should not only be the NTA or the state or the central government. It should be everybody, because ultimately NEET examination is for all the institutions, whether it is private, state government or central government. So everybody has to come together. So that process is also put in place. Now there are state level committees and district level committees, because I believe this problem which happened, it had to do a lot with one of the centers also. So now they together decide which institution is going to become the center. Similarly, that whenever an observer is to be appointed, the bank is going to come from these state level or the district level committees. So there are examination, many of the things, they happen without anybody knowing it. End of the final outcome of the exam is the result. Before that, the processes which have been undergone by NTA would not be known, but NTA has improved a lot since then. And I'm sure that this year's examination are going to be better than they were conducted in the last year. Last year also we didn't have any problem, and this time also NTA is preparing hard so as to do it well.
A lot of malpractices during the NTA exams, whether it's CUET or NEET, those were attributed to coaching centers, because they want to improve their records, they want to showcase their records. That's why they do all malpractices, they get into all these malpractices. So what are the steps the government has taken or planning to take to to control or regulate this coaching center? Because we still do not have any formal regulation or law or policy to bring them under one umbrella.
As far as coaching is concerned, there are guidelines issued by the central government. Central government has issued the guidelines. Why? Because these are otherwise very, very state-specific matters. Because, some places, some states might feel that the coaching is necessary because otherwise their students cannot compete. And there are many state governments who are, on their own, they are ensuring that their children get proper training. And so you may call it coaching, you may call it helping, but there are supports which are being given to the, and structured, organized supports which you get in a coaching center, they are being given there. So therefore, the government of India came up with the guidelines, and there they have prescribed a number of things. Based on those guidelines, a number of state governments, in fact, I come from Manipur state, the Manipur government has come up with an act. Similarly, there are other state governments also who have come up with the act, which, because every state has come up with an act, most of the states who have come up, depending on the type of population they are dealing with, the type of parents they are there. So lots of issues are there which are state specific. So many of them have come up. Similarly, this one organization name I am forgetting, that who is responsible for this consumer protection. So they are implementing their own guidelines so as the coachings, they do not mislead the students, because many a times, they would publish somebody's photograph who would have just touched the coaching institution, and then it gets published. Many times what they also do, that they do not tell you how many students from that coaching actually appeared. They would only show you some 5, 6 of them or 10 of them who got good ranks. Let's say rank in top 100.
Even their allegations, they pay students to say that they studied there.
Yeah.
But my question was, as you said, some states are bringing those laws. But when central government, on many other issues, they talk about uniformity and try to bring in laws, why are you leaving coaching institute to states only?
Because it is purely a state government's, as I said, that's, the situation across the states is so different that bringing one law, I do not know how far it will be able to cater to everybody. That is one reason. Notwithstanding that, a committee has been constituted by the Government of India recently under my chairmanship. Secretary Higher Education is leading that group. It has representatives from the state education departments as well as the central school education departments, CBSE, NCERT, and KVS, etc. So we are thinking as to what more should be done to ensure that this coaching does not become a menace.
In fact, the diversity logic that you used, many university heads and state government policymakers, they refer to this thing that India is a very diverse country, states are different. So central government should not try to standardize university education. And they also complain about this thing that you send out, particularly UGC, because you are also UGC chairperson, send out a lot of regulations, and they have to waste a lot of time in doing fulfilling those regulations, like filling up forms and doing too many things. So why do not you leave the state a lot more autonomous in terms of other spheres of education, the way you are leaving coaching?
Education is in the concurrent list of the thing. And as far as coordination and maintenance of standards is concerned, it is the duty of the central government. Because as a country also, you would need some direction, some priority. All of us would want to have one direction, which the situation is changing so fast. I have come from the state. Somebody in the state may not be actually aware as to, let's say, how are the industry requirement changing. So how are you going to tackle that situation? And the way things are changing, not only they are changing so fast, you would need somebody at the center to tell the institutions. And when it comes to, saying that UGC is issuing circulars, UGC issues circular to remind somebody. Let's say, don't do ragging if the UGC issues circulars yearly. So it is not that UGC is overstepping, it is just reminding you that there is a regulation which has been made for the benefit of the student that has to be followed. And if UGC is saying that these are the standards for appointment of teachers, it is in the interest of teachers also, you know, because on the other side you would get lots of complaints that some of the teachers are not being paid as they should have paid for the work that they are doing. So therefore there are needs, and it is always at the back of our mind that we never overstep as to whatever has been told to us, but we are following the constitution and maintaining the standards, coordinating the standards across various states.
I wanted to ask you about the most controversial regulations that you had just sent out, which has been stalled by the Supreme Court, but unfortunately it's showing time is up. Probably time has been very kind to you. Thank you so much for being here and answering the questions. Thank you so much, Dr. Joshi.
Thank you.